everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my weekly wrap-up of July 5th, 2015. If you celebrate Independence Day, I hope you had a good 4th of July. I did. I had pie. My mom makes amazing apple pie, and then I had more for breakfast because this is a rule, I just made it up. You must always have pie for breakfast the day after. This week was a bit odd for the reading. I usually spread my reading out over the week, but for some reason I could not get a large stretch of time to just finish something. So I had a little personal mini readathon on Friday because of the 3-day weekend, it was holiday weekend, and I did manage to finish 3 books on Friday, bringing my total to 4, and I'm so happy. I read a lot of good stuff this week, so let me tell you about that. The first thing that I finished this week was Prince of Chaos by Roger Zelazny. This is the 10th and final book in the Amber Chronicles. Yes, I'm excited. I finished my reread of this series this past week, and because this is the last book and it wraps up not only the Merlin cycle, but the series as a whole, I'm not going to say anything about the plot, just I thought it was a good ending. It was better than the ending of the Corwin cycle. It was better paced, I think, and you do get a lot of answers and payoffs, and it was a good book, and I think it's probably my second favorite book in the entire series. And I won't say anything more than that. I don't think I need to say anything more than that. If you want to know more about the Chronicles of Amber, I have already filmed, edited, and uploaded a series review, and I'd recommend going and watching that. I have also done some double reviews of the first 6 books, but there are spoilers in some of those videos. I will leave links and descriptions down below. You can choose to watch whatever you want, but I'd kind of recommend the series review if you're interested in the Amber Chronicles, because that kind of tells you more what you're getting into with strengths, weaknesses, and what might be a little irritating for the modern reader. The next book that I finished was Inda by Sherwood Smith. I would show you the book, but it's got a big, fat interlibrary loan label covering up the entire cover, so that's a little bit pointless. This is an interesting book. I'm going to be really honest here and say that I never intended on reading this book until a bunch of people whose opinions I respect because they're friends and I like their reading taste read it as part of Sam from Novels and Nonsense's Inda Club read-along for like the entire series, and they were like, this is a good book, and I thought, you know, I should give that a chance. I should give that a chance, and Tara from Terabyte was the one who kind of discussed it with me a little bit more and made me think, okay, there's more to this book in the series, and I really shouldn't write it off. I'm really struggling these days with becoming interested in like high or epic fantasy books. My reading taste, what I'm attracted to, seems to be veering away from that, so I need a little extra encouragement to pick new adult fantasy series up, so I'm sorry if that disappoints you. I had trouble with the first half of the book because there was a really big learning curve with the names. Am I out of practice or something with the fantasy genre, or was this really difficult? It was difficult, but it shouldn't have been that difficult to remember all the names because it needed a better glossary or a cast of characters. There is a glossary in the back, but it's not long enough. It needed more of the characters and the character relationships in it to... Quick reference, yeah, that would have been nice. But not only do you have to remember like all the characters' nicknames, you have to remember what their longer formal names are, you have to remember what the nicknames and formal names are of a lot of the characters' family members, older brothers, you have to remember where people are from, and you have to remember like the ancestries, political histories of the families, and I started to choke on that a little bit. But at about the halfway point, I felt like I was internalizing the names better. I guess I absorbed the proper nouns after enough exposure, and the second half of the book went by super fast. In fact, I read most of the second half of the book in one day. I was very much caught up in the action that just sort of explodes. There are some like major political moves taken, and people go different ways, and it was exciting, and I really enjoyed reading that part. My favorite thing about this entire book is the character of Inda. Yes, I like how loyal and steadfast he is. He sticks to his principles, which is even more admirable considering that he's quite young when his loyalties and his honor are tested. He's 10, 11, or 12 years old when he sticks to his guns, and I liked him. I kind of liked his personality. I liked that like innate sense he has for command, but also I think for fairness and maybe justice. And I'm just very interested in seeing where his character goes and what's going to happen next in the series. The next book that I read was Trading in Danger by Elizabeth Moon. It is the first book in a sort of military science fiction series called Vada's War. I've already done a separate review on this, and by the time you are watching this video, that review should be up because I want to get it all done today. So I will link that for you so you know my full thoughts on that. I really enjoyed this. It just hit all of my like space adventure science fiction buttons, and I am already reading the second book. The final thing I read this week was The Holy Thief by Ellis Peters. It is the 19th book in the Brother Cadfael mystery series, which I've been reading for some time. I really want to finish it in July. It is a cozy historical mystery series set in a monastery in the 12th century in England, and the political backdrop, which is pretty important to some of the stories, is the war between King Stephen and Empress Maud for control of England. And our main character is Brother Cadfael. He is a Benedictine monk, the herbalist for the abbey at Shrewsbury. And in this book is a bit unusual because the mystery really relies on some background and build-up in previous mysteries in the series, which means that unlike a lot of the other books in the series, I don't think it stands alone very well on its own. It just doesn't. The basic mystery is that the abbey is threatened by floodwaters, and as they are moving a lot of the abbey's most treasured possessions to higher ground, some things get misplaced, and the next day they realize that somebody has stolen the bones of Saint Winifred, call back to another mystery in the series, and they are trying to recover these relics. Brother Cadfael must use his super sleuthing herbalist 12th century monk skills to find the relics and also solve the eventual murder, because, you know, there's always going to be a murder. This was an okay mystery. I mean, I think it's a pretty standard Brother Cadfael story, but it wasn't fantastic. I actually thought that some other details, like almost background details in the story, were more interesting. There's, like, not to get too much away, but there's a death of a character who was introduced in a previous story, and I found it to be one of the more touching aspects that wasn't super explored. But, you know, for whiling away an evening, it was a perfectly fine mystery, and it kind of got me excited to get back into the feel of the series and finish it. So my neighbors are home, and all their dogs are barking, and all their kids are screaming outside. You might be able to hear their little yappy dog. So I'm going to wrap this up. I had a great reading week, and if you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments down below. If you are doing anything exciting, please let me know that as well, and I will be back to talk to you again in my next video. Bye!